Welcome to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. Real stories, brave voices, radiant perspectives. This is the podcast for parents and caregivers of autistic and neurodivergent children and teens. I'm your host, and each week we hold space for honest conversations, shared struggles, and hard-won victories from those who truly live it. You're not alone, your story matters, and it starts here. Welcome back to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. I'm your host, Karla Chinen, and today I have a dear friend of mine, Cherlene Alfaro. She was one of the first mommies that I met in this journey of the neurodivergent journey with our kiddos. And she was honestly the first one that opened up about a lot of resources she was utilizing, and she was very embracing about the facts of like what moms go through. And she's a person that whenever we have good days, we call each other and we share about those moments with our kiddos. We laugh about the quirkiness that they have in public or in our house in the privacy of our home. But we also talk about the hard moments and we cry together on the phone when our kiddos are struggling over things. And it's going to be a little bit of an emotional episode today because, you know, when we tell our stories, it's almost like we're reliving the moment and having to kind of like add alcohol in a wound almost. It burns up again, you know, and it makes us feel again. Because a lot of the times we do have to numb ourselves a little bit to be able to cope with a lot of things and changes that happen with our kiddos and our life in general. So the topic we'll be discussing today, which she's a pro at, is taking her son and family on vacations. I know a lot of us in the community, it's a struggle to do that with our kiddos. But she's always been amazing at doing it. They've been on cruises. She'll basically give us tips and tools of how we can possibly explore that with our own kids. So first of all, I want her to kind of tell a little bit of how it all started for her. So you get to know a little bit her story and Liam's story. And then from there, we'll dive into the actual topic at hand, which is traveling with kiddos and how do you vacation with them. So thank you for being here, my dear friend.
Sorry, because I'm an emotional person.
Hey, we're all entitled to.
So Liam was diagnosed at 3. Prior to his diagnosis, he was already getting speech therapy, but we had no clue, nothing about autism at all. Like, it was never even on the radar. I took him in for his wellness check, and a few days later I get a call telling me they wanted to test him for autism. So I said, all right, that's fine. Go ahead. Like, do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. I really had no idea, like no clue why, nothing. So we took him in, and then I got his diagnosis on 4th of July. So it was right before his birthday is the 23rd. So it was right before him turning 3. His dad was leaving in a couple of months to start training for his job. So he was gone and for 3 months straight. So I was trying to figure out this whole, well, what do I do? How do I get therapy? How do I do this? How do I do that? Where am I supposed to go? Like, what, you know, I had no clue. I was very fortunate that I met someone that gave me a basic roadmap. I mean, literally wrote it all out for me. You contact IRC, you contact this, you do this, you do this. You tell them you need services right away because it can cause more regression for your son. Mm-hmm. So he laid it all out for me. So I got on it right away and started his therapies up. At 3 years old, I felt like my son had a full-time job with all his therapies. I mean, between yes. ABA, his preschool, speech, OT, it was like 40 hours a week. You know, it's overwhelming.
It is.
And then I had my daughter who's a year older than him, so it was like trying to juggle the two of them at the same time. It was a hard time. It was a really hard time, but we pushed through, and it's made him to be able to be a little bit more, you know,
self-sufficient.
Yeah,
and
self-sufficient.
capable.
Yeah. So that's where we are.
Nice. Well, like I said before, you know, you were that person for me. You know, you helped me, you know, at that point I was already with Inland Regional Center, but you helped me understand a little bit of additional benefits like IHSS, you know, or how to go about it with the insurances, with therapies, to make sure that everything gets timed correctly. Because, with therapies, you're on a waiting list, you're stuck there for like 6 to 8 months, if not a whole year.
Yeah.
And that's if you don't find out that they might not take the provider you're with, and I know there's a lot of uncertainty in our world, with our babies. But with that being said, how have you been so successful in exposing Liam to a lot of, wonderful environments that a lot of our babies sometimes can't? It takes a lot for us as parents to be able to expose them to that degree, or like traveling, cruises, that type of thing.
I've always just dove right in. I'm like, we're going to try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm not going to, I'm a strong believer in my family has just as much right as your family to go and do things. So if my son has a hard time at a movie theater, I'm sorry, we're in a kid's movie. And if he cries, he cries. Like, you have to understand that's what children do. So I'm a strong believer that we all belong. So wherever my daughter wants to go, he's going. If he wants to go, he's going. We're going to try. If it's too much for him, then I know it's too much, and we'll make those accommodations for him, whatever that might be.
When did you realize that your vacations were not going to look, quote unquote, the same as other people's vacations?
I was afraid for a long time to take vacations. So my initial vacation was going to be on a cruise, which we were going to do a Disney cruise. I said, oh, that'll be great. If he has a hard time, we're able to go back to our room and he can decompose there. He can, whatever it is that he needs, it'll be there in the room. So that was the plan. Well, God has other plans for us sometimes.
Amen
and
to that
COVID happened. So there went that. They were canceling all the cruises. So we were like at the end of everything. It was like right before the mask mandate came off, and obviously they were requiring the poke, and that just wasn't for my family. I wasn't going to do that with my family. I wasn't sure what the side effects with his autism would be. So I just didn't want to go that route. So we didn't do the cruise. We had to cancel the cruise. So in my heart, I was just like so ready. Like, I'm going on vacation. I'm so excited. I'm so happy we get out of here. So I'm like, okay, well, now we're not doing the cruise. So that was like a big letdown for all of us. And so I'm like, all right, well, the only thing we can do is fly. I'm like, where are we going to go? And our cruise was going to take us down into Mexico. So that's when we decided, okay, well, let's try Mexico. Let's see how this goes. I brought it up to Liam, and he was really, really nervous. But my son is, as you know, a math person. He loves numbers. So we looked it up, the statistics of what, planes crashing, because that was his fear of us being up in the air and the plane crashing. So we looked it up, and it was like under 1%. And then he looked at me, he was like, okay, like, I'll try this. So that was our first trip, was going to be on a plane. So I was really nervous about that. So I made sure it was going to be a short flight. I made sure there was no changing of planes. What is that called?
Not like with no stops.
Yeah.
Layover.
There you go. Yeah. So we actually ended up going from TJ. We walked across through the airport and got on a flight from TJ to Cancun. And that was our first flight, first.
And what were the, let's start with the downs. What were the downs in the trip? Like the struggles you saw with him still kind of being his first trip, like where you were like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or, oh, maybe next time we'll do it like this differently.
I think for him, it's something new that he's not able to control, is where he has a hard time. So what I try to do is I try to show him videos of what we're going to be doing, kind of get him excited about going first, and then also the process of us getting there. Like, we have to go through the airport. When we go through the airport, you're going to have to take your picture. You're going to have to take off your shoes. You're going to have to put your, so we kind of give him an outline of what's going to happen, so that he's aware of what's all going to take place. And it's not something that he's not expecting. So I try to do as much of that as I possibly can. On the plane ride, I try to have all his favorite snacks. Make sure you have fully charged iPads and phones and things to keep him occupied. His headphones. So his headphones we would have, and then I have all his Netflix movies all downloaded, ready to go. So he did really well. It was kind of funny because when it would hit turbulence, he thought it was like a roller coaster ride or something, and he put his hands up. Exactly, he put his hands up like woo, and I'm like, okay, yay, let's do this, And he likes to take pictures, so he's out looking out the window, taking pictures outside, and so he actually enjoyed the ride, and I was actually really shocked. But I have other friends that have also done a lot of trips as far as Europe, and they say their kids, for whatever reason, they like the cabin pressure, and it actually helps and soothes them.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it would be good to kind of like dive into the research on that.
Yeah, so I know our friends, they went to the Philippines, and they said that the cabin pressure really helps with their son. And then I had another friend who went to Ireland, and they said the same thing. Yeah. Wow. So those are some long trips.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I'm scared of going to Mexico, which is a 3-hour flight. I'm like with my big old Adrian, so. Well, that's awesome. And I even know, even before I think that cruise, like you were, like I've been to parties at her house, birthday parties and gatherings. And one thing that I also see that Cherlene has done very well is incorporate her community. Like everyone in that cul-de-sac where she lives knows Liam. They had this they always have these cool Halloween parties, block parties where all the kids are out there, they have bonfires, they have movies playing for the kids, and everyone helps out and keep an eye out on Liam, and just, you're very good at incorporating that community, because like you and I know that it can be very isolating, especially initially when our families don't understand the diagnosis much, or certain quirkinesses our kids have, or certain accommodations that need to be done for our kiddos, so I think that's where I give you tremendous kudos. You've been able to make him feel included regardless where he goes. Liam is Liam wherever he goes, and you take pride on that along with him. And that it's very hard as parents to be able to do that, and to kind of step out of our little comfort zone of bubble. Just like it's not only our kids' comfort zone, but it's also, us as parents, our comfort zone, to be honest.
But even the other families, they have to step out of their comfort zone because they're not used to being around children with autism, so they need to learn about it too. And the only way they're going to learn is us exposing our children to them, is how I feel. Yes. So I've always been one to take my son anywhere and everywhere. Like, that's not going to stop us.
Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen some pictures. This boy he loves the water. I've seen some cool pictures where you took him to Lake Havasu, I think. Yeah. That's where you go.
But he gets, that was a real hard one to start with. As much as he loves water, he was always afraid to get on the boat. So that was always the hardest thing, was to get him on the boat. Like, we would have to make sure everything was loaded and ready to go, and literally we'd have to wait till the very last minute. The boat is on, and it was just like pick him up and jump on and go. And once we started going, then he would be fine. But otherwise, I don't think he would ever just jump on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the same thing with Adrian. Like, I remember one time we went to San Diego, my husband, because Adrian was fixated with trains at that time. And he loved trains. So he wanted to ride a train. We went and drove, I don't know how far past San Diego. I swear, I thought we were going to Mexico at that point. Because there was a cool train station that I Googled. Because, you Google everything that might be fun for our kids. We get there, he doesn't want to get in the friggin' train. And I'm like, dude. And Sophia was all looking forward to it. So then I'm like, so we just drove back because it was going to be a meltdown if we kind of got him to. But then I'm like, let's drive to downtown San Diego. Let's try the metro. Like the metro, I don't know what their system's called out there, but it's like a little Metrolink. And I'm like, let's try that one first and see if we chased him through a little courtyard. And at that time he was little, so he was easy to be chased. So I'm like, I know he's going to cry first, but let's do it, you know? We carried him on, and I remember after that, he didn't want to get off that train. I think we did like 3-4 trips around San Diego that day, you know, and he did not want to get out. And then from there, we went to other train stations nearby that have events at times for the kiddos. So, but you're right. Like, if you don't sometimes push them to that, you know, try something new, honey, you know, try something, you'll like it, you'll enjoy it, because we know our kids.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly. Yeah.
They're just so hesitant to try, you know, but I think you've done an amazing job with Liam to be able to expose him. And not just Liam, I think it takes a lot, especially the mom, I think, to kind of find that balance, because you're not only trying to find out combinations just for Liam, but also for, you know, the sister, you know, and making sure they both feel seen, they both feel like they're being engaged, and you're not taking away experiences from the other sibling, you know, and things like that. So I think you've done an amazing job with that, you know, and you continue, like I see almost every year now you go on a vacation with them, you know, and I see how much they seem to enjoy it. Yeah. You know?
Oh, he loves vacations. He loves going on vacations. But like I said, it's what he can control is a big thing with Liam. I know everyone has different paths and whatnot, but like, for instance, you know your child, what's going to work and what's not going to work. But there's times where you really know he's going to enjoy this, so I have to push him so he can have this experience. Disneyland, oh my gosh, I know what you're saying about the train. We waited for the water rapid ride at California Adventure. We waited in line for like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
We got to the front of the line. I'm like, you're gonna love this is fun, you're gonna have a great time. And he was jazzed up until we got to that point. Once we got there, no, I'm not doing this. Baby. I'm not doing this. And he actually got on, but then jumped off. And then they were like, you know, he can't go on this ride. And I was like, fine. So I was a little upset because that was a long, long wait. Dad and my daughter were able to go on the ride, and me and him just walked away and just was like, felt defeated. But, you know, like, it happens at times, you know.
And you just choose your battles, I think, you know. You have to choose your battles. Whoever, I know sometimes they see us and they're like, well, you give in to him, or you no, you don't understand. You choose your battles. If you've had a long day already, you know your kids, borderline meltdown. It's either going to be a full-blown meltdown or like nonstop, you know, anxiety. Or you just say, okay, not this time. We'll try again another day, you know, and then just keep it moving for the family. Because we've been there too, you know. I try to take Adrian out to places as he's getting bigger. It makes it a little bit harder because, you know, his strength and things like that. But I totally see that, you know.
Yeah. No, I still have difficult times with him on certain things, but yeah. And you know, okay, same thing. I don't know, roller coaster rides, which seems crazy because he's such an adventurous kid and likes to be thrown around and jump here and do this. Like, you would think he would be all for them, but no, not at all. I think it's the control. He doesn't have that control.
Oh my God. I remember Adrian's first, like, a little bit like more interactive, more like big boy roller coaster. It was the SeaWorld. Is it called what is it called? The Manta? Something like that. Well, it's this roller coaster, and it was pretty fast. I like roller coasters, maybe not as much as I used to, but and I remember I was sitting next to Sophie, and she concerns me, but she's calm. She's like a calm person with her fidgety, and with Adrian, he's so strong. I swear, I was scared that he was gonna he was gonna freak out and try to open the vest. So the whole time, I think the roller coaster, I went facing him. Like, I was like looking back facing him. I got out of that roller coaster with my neck all stiff from being stressed from the roller coaster. But he had a blast. And after that, he went like 3-4 more times with Tony. You know, he enjoys roller coasters, you know, and things like that. For me, it freaks me out that one day he'll freak out and want to like, you know, and he's strong. That boy is strong. So
see, like, that's like me. I don't like to do water parks.
Oh,
that scares me. Because I do know that he enjoys it, but it's such a safety thing with him because he likes to stand up at the top of the slides.
Oh my goodness.
Or he's coming down the slide and he likes to put his feet out and stop himself and then try to stand up in the middle of the slide.
Oh, no.
So I know this isn't going to work for us. So that's a place that I don't go. I refuse to do that because I'm going to have a heart attack and die, or my son is going to jump off the thing and seriously hurt himself. Yeah. So I that's one place that I know is off limits for us. Even though I know he enjoys it, I'm not going to take that risk. Yeah. It's not worth it for me.
We have to, like you said, we know our babies. We know, they're very smart individuals, but they also are very risky with some of the choices they make.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to constantly be like, oh my God, don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. Oh my God, why are you walking there? You're going to hurt your feet, so I totally get that.
Even talking about that right now, it's just like, it gave me that anxiety. That's like my high anxiety right there. That's just like, woo. Yeah, so I don't do water slides, water parks, stuff like that.
Oh no. My goodness.
That I won't do.
And then now shifting a little bit into like the holidays with your baby. Like, is there any modifications that your family does or used to do for Liam during like holidays or any of that? Or
not really. My family just really does a huge big Christmas party. Easter we go to the park as a family. So it's nothing that he can't handle. It's usually indoors, my sister's house or at our house or something. So he can escape to one of the other bedrooms if he needs to get away. But he kind of just does his own thing when we're having parties. If there's games, which I try to incorporate him, like doing the gingerbread houses, things of that nature.
Okay, but for the most part, he's. I think you've been great at. I hate using this word, but almost desensitizing him from certain like environments. Yeah. I know. When Adrian was little, my husband used to blame me. He's like, no, he's not autistic. He's just, you have him in this little bubble of no noise all the time. When he was a baby, I'm like, I'm not going to take him and put him next to a speaker. He's a baby, So with that being said, like, it's good that you've, though, created that, though you know what he can handle and not handle, you still expose him and bring him along to these family functions, because I know it's hard. Like, we're starting to do that now more with Adrian, because he actually says he wants to attend these. And as they get older, they get, they tell you more what they want and don't want, their decision making. So I feel like the way you have made it happen with your family and basically told your family, this is us, you take us as a group, and this is what you get with us, and they're open, they open their arms to you guys, and you guys find a way of being able to have these memorable holidays.
Yeah, with Liam, I've always been very, we're going to push through it. I feel, unfortunately, the world doesn't make accommodations for our kids. That's not always going to be the case. So I've always tried to push him through with everything, from getting his haircut to going to loud environments to not having a schedule. When we were in ABA, they would always say, oh, put him on a schedule, do a schedule. I'm like, no, that's not life. Yes, we do, in a sense, have a schedule. We wake up and most of us go and use the restroom as soon as you wake up, or get up and jump in the shower, or whatever it is that you do to start your morning, go make your coffee. So we kind of have that schedule kind of embedded already embedded in us, but you never know. You might get a phone call and that changes you from getting in the shower at 8 o'clock and now you're getting in it at 9 o'clock. But for some kids, that's going to be huge. So that's one thing I've always tried with Liam, was not to have that schedule. It's like, we don't know when things are going to change. So with ABI, I was like, nope, I'm not for a schedule. I'm not for a schedule. Like I said, with haircuts, oh man, he had the hardest time getting his haircut. And I would take him to the barbers and everyone was like, have them come to your house, have them do it. No, I need him to learn to be able to go to a barbershop. We have to push through and get him through it. And let me tell you, I walked out of that place crying numerous times. But now he'll ask me to go get his haircut.
I know. And I've seen some wonderful braids you do. And I'm like, wow.
He tells me,
I know.
that's how he tells me, I need my haircut. He's all like about looking good. You know, he you know, because his hair is long. He has an undercut, so he pulls it all back, and then sometimes like the hair will start popping out, especially when he goes to OT, you know, jumping around and moving around and all whatever. So his hair so he goes in the bathroom and he wets it and he combs it all back again.
I know. So Liam is, oh my God, he's a freaking character. I love him. He's I remember one time one of his teachers and I, we were discussing, because our kids go to the same school, and she was mentioning how you pack him a little avocado, and she was so amazed at how he's like making his little guacamole for his burrito you packed him, or his taco you packed him. And she's like, he's just such a little man, just knocking out his stuff. But you know, our kids are just, I know a lot of the times us as moms, we're like, oh my God, I wish my kiddo could do this a little bit more, or I wish we could go here, or be able to go to sleep without worrying what's going to happen to our kids when we get older, you know, and we're no longer here. You know, I think that's a worry that will never go away. But with that being said, I feel with our kids, we get such a genuine individual in front of us, you know,
for sure.
And a little people that really humble the shenanigans out of you, you know, and really, I don't know, like put perspective in place as to what really is important in life. You know, before him, I don't know about you, but before the diagnosis, I wanted to control everything. Like I had everything planned, and I had an idea of when I first had my first kid, what school he was going to attend, or she, and things like that. And then you get this diagnosis, you know, and it's like, just kidding, never mind. You know, and I think, but with all that being said, you see these kids, like when Adrian hugs me and kisses me, like I know it's a genuine hug and kiss.
For sure.
Because there's nothing attached to those hugs and kisses. Like, let's be honest, most kids, you know, they want something from you. For them, it's like just you genuinely being there for them, and being that companion for them is more than enough for them. You know, and I think that's what the relationship you have with Liam, you know, you have that bond that he knows you're there unconditionally. And
I see that in a lot of special needs families with the children and their parent. You see it. You see that love. I love my daughter. My daughter loves me. I know that. But I tell her sometimes, I'm like, Liam, I'm like 1,000% sure that he loves me. Like there's never one doubt. You with your attitude, there's some doubt sometimes, you know. It's not the same. Like, and then she tells me, oh, you love him more. It's like, no, I don't love him more. He needs me more. There's a difference there. But she says, because we cuddle, but then when I go to try to hug her, she's like, oh, get off me, Mom, get off me. But that's a teenager.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and like that's just you know, like I can go over, like I mess with, I don't know if, I think this is a Hispanic thing, but I could be wrong. But just that little pat on the back, on the backside, you know what I'm talking about. So I'll do that to him, and he just thinks it's cute, no big deal, and he'll hug me, whatever. I do that, and she's like, oh, why do you touch me like that? You know, and I'm just like, it's the way we show love sometimes. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, it's different. Yeah, it's different. It's definitely a different dynamic between my daughter and him. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I have my daughter, Sophie, you know, and you're right. Like with Sophie, when she wants hugs, because she's also autistic, but when she wants hugs, it's because it feels good for her, like sensory wise. So she'll want literally like a 20-minute hug, and I'm like, girl, like I got stuff to do. Like I can't sit here and hug for 20 minutes, you know. But I know it's almost like a selfish hug, because that makes her feel good. It's not because she genuinely wants to come and hug you. And then with Adrian, he'll randomly come and kiss me in the cheek and say, love you, and walk away. And I'm like, wow, you know, that meant something, because he doesn't really do that much, you know? So I totally get that. And, you know, our girls, I think because they see us, they just have an addition. Sometimes I see Sophia and I'm like, I can't even be annoyed at her at times because I'm like, she's like a carbon copy of me and what I would do. And, you know, the attitude, that's me at times, you know. So, like, it's a different dynamic, you know. But with our babies, you know, and the moms, we are definitely those mama bears, you know, that will defend our babies regardless of anything and everything that's happening or not happening with our babies, you know, and just giving and educating also like the world of it's not about us asking for extras for our kids or, you know, making extra accommodations for our kids, just making it an equitable playing field for our kids, you know. And you can't sit there and ask of our kids to behave a certain way, but yet not teach the outside world to also understand that people are different and they also have to be accepting of our babies, that it doesn't have to be always our kids modifying, you know, and switching their ways of being, or maybe not singing so loud in public. Or I know with our kids, they're quite quirky at times in public, you know, and how they behave. So, or when they're stimming, you know, or the echolalia. And I feel like this is the reason why, you know, I'm doing this, to educate, not only feel that community between us, but also educate people out there as to what we go through and what our babies go through on a daily basis. So maybe a little bit of that empathy kicks in and they realize that it's not how it's portrayed, you know, what the movies portray about our kids, you know,
the superpowers.
Oh, the superpowers, the Rain Man situation, or even something like an Atypical, you know, show type of thing. Great show, had fun watching it, but a lot of the times it doesn't turn out to be that way. You know, there's even the most high functioning individual struggles, you know, on a daily basis with sensory, with anxiety, with the even social depression, the social aspects, the feeling alone because they don't feel understood and they constantly have to mask even if they're quote unquote high functioning, you know. So again, you know, is there any additional words that you would want to share with people as far as like what could really help them incorporate their kids into having those awesome vacations just like Atypical family has, or anything like that?
I think really you need to tailor it to your child, what your child enjoys. Like, I know my child enjoys the water. Your child enjoys buildings, like certain buildings. So I know Vegas is like a big thing for you guys because he loves that. That's all about Adrian. Mine is all about the water. Put me near water, put me near sand, and I'm happy. So tailor your vacations to your child and what they would enjoy. And it may not be what you enjoy, but I know for me, watching my son smile and having a great time makes me enjoy my time.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure that's most of us as moms. We want to see our kids happy. That's what makes us happy. So I think tailoring your vacations to your child. Like, really, I don't know. Like, we go to Vegas, but I don't think he is going to enjoy it as much as Adrian
does.
Oh no, Adrian, that's his jam right there.
I know, he's like, no, live here, live in Las Vegas. I'm like, nah, when you get older and you make your own life, you could talk about moving to Vegas, my love. But right now, it's California for us.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying in California too.
I know, it's too hot out there for me.
Yeah. But no, so I think that's like a big thing. And always prepare them, I think, is another thing. Is always really let them know what you're going to be doing. You know, like, are you going to be going to a hotel room? Are you going to be staying in an Airbnb? Is there going to be a pool there? Is there not? That's another thing I would really cautious what you do too, because like I've had a couple scares when we've gone on vacation. We went to Mexico one time and we were staying on the first floor. And it was 2 bedrooms, a living room, and each one had sliding glass doors. Yeah. So Liam was able to escape. And he was out on the beach, which I had no clue. I was in the bedroom. He walked out, and I don't know what room he walked out of, but my aunt was out in the patio of the other bedroom. So I just assumed that she would have seen him come out. So I walked out and I'm like, hey, where's Liam? I don't know. And I'm just like, whoa, what do you mean? What do we not know where he's at? Like, how did this happen? You know? So of course, right away I went out to the water and there he is on the beach. It was a shallow beach. It wasn't anything crazy, but still like,
yeah, you're in another country and your baby elopes. You know, it's not...
It wasn't, so I wouldn't have personally asked for the bottom floor. I would have rather been up top so that he wouldn't have that quick access to the beach. So those are the things that I've learned. Like, make sure you're not on the bottom.
How about seasons? Like, what's, like, I know you were big on that. Like, you time it so it's not such an impacted season for that specific area you're traveling to. I know that's been
I try to go on off seasons rather than, like, Mexico, you could go at any time. It's always nice and warm there. So that's where most of our vacations have been. We also went to Seattle last year. We went for 4th of July. Actually, when we booked, for whatever reason, it was like a great time to book. I don't know. We left like on a Monday versus the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So that way it wasn't so busy at the airports. We try to go to small airports. I tried my hardest to do like Ontario. I don't like to go to LAX. So I try to do the smaller airports versus the bigger airports. So there's not so much hectic times going on. But yeah, so we always try to book off seasons. I don't like to go with everyone else.
I know. Well, I'm the same way. Even when I don't go with my kids. I don't like being around a lot of big crowds.
I don't like large crowds. Even more after you have your children. I think that's probably most families though. Nobody likes to be in large crowds. At least I don't.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
Yeah, when we do vacations, I try to stay away from weekends. Like when we do a lot of trips to the lake. So we try to do it Monday through Thursday just to kind of,
keep
the
capacity of humans around us.
So like Laughlin was a big one for us. Like that's his happy place. He loves Laughlin. Well, now I found another place that's about 40 minutes from Laughlin where it is quiet. Not many people show.
You have to share that one.
Yeah, it's Cottonwood Cove. It's out of Searchlight. So we go there now versus going to Laughlin.
Nice.
So when we go there, it's kind of a private beach. Only the people who are staying in this small little, not think fancy. It's a little rundown, but it's good enough for us. It, gives us a reason to be there. But there's like, I think the last time we went, there was one family on the beach with us.
Wow, that's nice.
So it's perfect. Like when there's so many people, it's hard to keep an eye on your child. And if your child is like mine, he likes to wander and go and explore and do all of this. And then you have your other child who is over here, and then this one's wandering this way. It's nearly impossible to keep your eye on two children. So with this place, I have full scope, nobody blending in, so
that's nice.
It's perfect for us. So I try to find those little hidden gems.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, you definitely, you always motivate me to continue. The next one that we want to do is Mexico with Adrian, and putting him on that airplane again. The last Mexico experience was a little bit intense for us. He was 4, but it was a lot for him at that time. I think we weren't as equipped as we are now, Tony and I, to really kind of, like you mentioned, provide that before guidelines of this is what's going to happen, and he didn't have an understanding exactly when you would talk to him about how things were going to happen, giving him a little timeline of some kind. So, you definitely motivate me, and then now that he's a foodie, I want to take him to have his quesadillas, but Mexican style,
cool.
And things like that. So you definitely motivate me, but thank you. And then I think to close off, I just want to thank you again for taking time and being here and, sharing what you know. And if anyone out there has any more questions or wants a little bit more insight, I will be happy to answer questions.
One thing I do want to say is
yes,
when you do book, you can, I know a lot of the airlines require you to, for your seating. you don't have to pay that extra cost to have your child sit next to you. You can book it, call the airline, explain you have a child who has special needs and you need to sit with them, and they will put your children next to you.
I know it's called something specific. What is it called? It's FT.
I know there's some airlines that also will allow you, if you can make arrangements, they have like certain times that you can go out and actually get on a plane and go through the process so that your child is familiar with how to board a plane and what it is like on the plane.
I think American Airlines has that because my friend just did that.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. You can, when you book your flight, you can explain the situation, and they'll actually also allow you to board first before everyone else.
Yes, which I don't do.
Because then your kid's waiting.
If you already have your seat, you know where you're going to be sitting. For me, it's harder for me to be on a plane with my child, and I know it's harder for him. If you know you're already going to be on a plane for 4 hours, why do you want to sit on a plane for an extra half an hour while everyone's boarding and putting their luggage and everything else? So we wait where it's nice and air conditioned and chill right there out in the airplane or in the airport, and let everybody else board, and then we board at the end.
Okay, so see, everything's different for every person. I know for me, I think I would probably do what she does because Adrian's not the best with waiting.
Yeah, that's
and it's stuffy in an airplane, and then you see all these people pass by, and if you don't get a window seat for your child, then they're nudging their shoulders and whatnot and things like that. So I probably do what you do.
Yeah.
But I do know that you can.
They will let you board first. Yes.
Or like you said, they have certain days where they do simulations of flights, where you can bring in your child so they can get almost like a feeling of what it's like to be in the airplane and kind of desensitize the process. That's also a really cool thing. I know American Airlines does that for sure. I will research a little bit more and put a list of the airlines that do offer this on not the website, but I'll do it on Facebook and on Instagram, and I'll add some links here on YouTube as well. So you guys have those additional information in case you guys want that information for your kiddos if you plan on traveling with them. I'll update all those links for you. But thank you again, Cherlene. I appreciate you being here, taking time to being here, and thank you all. And then I will see you guys again in 2 weeks, and we will discuss another topic at hand, and go from there. Thank you very much. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. A warm thank you to our amazing guest, Cherlene Alfaro, for being part of this episode. Music was created by Brad Kolobit with piano magic from both Brad and Sophia Chinen. This show is brought to you with so much heart and for our beautiful community by Empathy for Autism California. Until next time, keep shining your light, lifting each other up, and celebrating the spectrum every step of the way.